Welcome to Know Your Money. I'm your host, Bronwyn Wayner. With me is Craig Finch, my business partner from Growth Financial Planning. Joining us today and every day is our sound engineer, Warren Grimsley. In our podcast, we will explore our relationship with money and how the psychology of it impacts our financial decisions, as everyone thinks about money differently. We will be presenting a variety of financial topics in an easy-to-understand way, which we hope will assist you in managing your money. Hello, everybody. Today's episode is Every Rand Needs a Plan. How are you doing today, Craig?
Bron, very well. Nice to see you. Warren, always good to see you.
Always a pleasure, never a chore. And I like the name. Every Rand Needs a Plan. Very good.
Awesome stuff. Let's get into it. So basically, in our previous episode, we found if you were a spender or a saver. And I think it doesn't necessarily matter which one you are. As you've said, I'm not sure if it is in one of those other episodes, but you said you are a saver, but you don't really know how or where to save still.
Exactly. I save money and it just goes straight into my bank account, and I know it's earning nothing in interest, basically. And I don't know why I haven't created an actual investment. It's beyond me because I don't know how.
Exactly, and that's the concept of this episode, is giving everything a plan, because when there's a plan, you can take action. So, Craig, I don't know if you want to introduce that.
The envelopes. Yeah, what a concept. A friend of mine, she has envelopes for everything every compartment in her daily and monthly budget. So she has one for the house, she has one for entertainment, she has one for holiday, she has one for clothing, and she's got about, I think, 4 or 5 other ones. So physically, and this concept probably doesn't work in today's money, but once your money goes in your account, you allocate that money into different envelopes. So for example, whatever your amount into your clothing envelope is, you put that money physically in that envelope. If next month you need a pair of shoes, but the month before you've already bought the dress you wanted, and you go to the shoes envelope and there's no money in that envelope, you can't take money from your holiday envelope or from your household envelope. That envelope is now empty and you have to wait until you fill that envelope up before you can go buy the shoes. So you don't cross-subsidize, you don't use your credit card, as we mentioned in previous episodes. It's always very easy to use your credit card just to spend it everywhere. This is allocated into different accounts. I think today's electronic banking and online banking, you can have sub-accounts.
Yeah.
You can have a main account. I think
I've got savings accounts. I've got one for holiday. You can definitely do that.
No, that's brilliant, Warren. So then you take
When did you start that, Warren?
After last week's episode, actually. I am learning. Let's hope everybody else is.
And quickly. So the wonderful thing about that, your monthly income comes into your account and you allocate it to those different accounts, as we mentioned. So it's like an envelope, but you cannot touch that money for anything else but clothing or but a holiday account or your household or your staff who might help you in the house. You might want to keep the lady that helps clean your house. You want to make sure that there's a bonus for at the end of the year.
100%.
Put money in that account, and you can never take the money out of that account.
And I think what you're touching on, Craig, and it's what most people don't even think about, is just discipline with your money. You really have to be disciplined.
But this forces the discipline, so that if you just make sure that you can't go to another account. So the credit card is too easy just to go into the credit card but if you got that account, you look at the account, it's subheading holiday. I need clothes. I can't go in that holiday account because then I won't go on holiday.
Still disciplined though. I know people who will go into that account.
Yeah, 100%.
My wife being one of them.
Just in saying that, I am that way. I am quite a spender, and I remember I went on a course, it's called Worth by Gary Cale, and what he taught was to give yourself a weekly allowance. So exactly what Craig's saying is, as your money comes in, you need all your debit orders to go off and your investments to go off. The rest of it, so you need to break it up into those different envelopes or different sub-accounts. But where most people struggle is with their day-to-day spend, because all of our money kind of gets spent. And I know I was like that, and I know quite a lot of people where at the beginning of the month, you see you have 10,000 Rand and, oh yes, I can go get that supper, I can go do that dress. And by the end of the month, you're struggling because you spent all that money in the beginning. And how he explains it is to rather break it up into a weekly spend.
Yeah.
So figure out what your day-to-day is and divide that by the number of weeks that there are. So, for example, if we state our 10,000 Rand example, and there's 5 weeks in the month, transfer 2,000 Rand a week for your spending, and that's your limit. That way, you kind of ease into it. And yes, we're standing here and saying, don't go dip into that other one. But I promise you are going to dip into it. But the more plans you have in action, the less you will start doing that. So when we first started, we put our budget in and there was no ways that we were sticking to that weekly limit. Then we kind of figured out what our weekly limit actually is, and we adjusted our envelope size, if you want to call it, to that. And I think the biggest thing is to start with a plan. So have your day-to-day spend plan and get that.
I agree. And I think the important thing, what you're saying there is at least you're trying to be disciplined. So having a plan, and you know what, the plan doesn't work out perfectly the first couple of months, so you adapt the plan.
Exactly.
But it teaches you to be responsible, accountable.
And that's the thing, you have to continuously kind of adapt the plan so that it works and it fits in.
What I've noticed is people are scared to look at their bank account. They're not sure what's happening there. They put it under the desk. They're scared to open the statements. They don't want to look at it. What you need to do is look at it every month. And in fact, if you haven't done this, take 3 or 4 months prior, write down in different areas of where you spent your money. How many times or what did you withdraw in cash? Because cash withdrawals just seem to disappear. Where do they go to? You can see how much you're spending in every different area of your life. And if you've got a budget, that cliche word budget, but if you've got a budget written down every month and you can allocate the money to those different parts of your budget, you can start to see your pattern of spending. But rather know what you're doing than put your head in the sand and not know what's going on.
100%. And an absolutely fantastic app that I found is 22/7. So 22 and then the word 7. And it's basically you can link any account that you have on it and it will pre-populate that for you.
You mean bank accounts, credit cards?
Bank accounts, credit cards, Ellen Gray, investments, anything like that. What are those savings, like your Checkers extra savings or Clicks Club cards, all
Discount
of that.
Points.
Exactly. So all of those go on there. It shows you what your net worth is and it actually shows you what your spend is. So it breaks down your day-to-day really nicely. And an area of our budgets that we always forget about is exceptions. And that's quite nice. So I love how that breaks it up. I definitely recommend getting that.
An exception? What do you mean? Like something goes wrong with the car or...
Yeah, so for example, I always did our budget and I knew sort of how much we'd spend on day to day and on my debit orders and things like that. But then there was still never money left. But when I look at my budgets, there should be like a certain amount left and there never really was. When I got that app, it showed me, oh no, but then I started studying and there was that fee, or my kids needed an extra thing and then all of a sudden it went into that fee, or there was this birthday. And that helped me create these exception envelopes, if you want to call it.
Like a buffer.
Exactly, because you don't do that in your budget. You don't think about those things. And what I also find happens so much is someone will be paying off their car 3,000 Rand a month. The next month, when that car payment stops, where's that 3,000 Rand?
No, they find a way to spend it.
Because there's no plan.
Yeah.
Every single Rand needs a plan, and as soon as that thing has ended, you need to redirect it into a different plan. And budgeting is supposed to feel like a lifestyle and not a diet. And when you have the plan in place, it's easier to achieve these goals and to not feel like you budgeting.
And,
if that makes
I think,
sense.
I suppose a good way of putting it as well would be that it's not just so that you can live on your skin and bones and have no money and be really careful with your money. It's you can put into your budget the going out on Friday night, the dinners out with your partner, your wife, your husband. So the fun stuff is also part of the budget.
100%. And it's about the fun stuff for your future self as well, because that's the person we forget about. And if you are just living for today, you aren't going to have that envelope for that person down the road.
And the fun stuff can be retiring comfortably one day. That doesn't have to be a chore. That can be a wonderful goal to achieve, and you can retire, which most people aren't able to do.
So the take-homes for this episode is to get a plan in place. You can speak to a financial advisor. You can just download an app and look at it, but just start. Just like it says in The Richest Man in Babylon, where the determination is, the way can be found. And if you're determined and you have a plan, you can reach your goals. Thanks so much.
Brian, that was excellent. Thanks, Warren.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Brian. Until the next time.
Cheers. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe or visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.